This is the assembly video for the Aristocrat version 2. I'm not really a fan of dithering, so I'll blather about it at the end. Just as a tip for manufacturing ease, you may want to print the main body standing straight up like this on your print bed. This allows just more forgiving support placement so you can remove them a lot easier. And to make functioning more smooth, you might want to print the file names the retaining arm hinge pin straight up and down. The rest, you can more or less lay flat like this. It's just a lot faster that way. Although if you really wanted to, you could probably print this in any print orientation, whatever, and you'll be fine. In terms of print settings, I recommend your favorite print settings for most of these parts, like whatever works really. Although I do recommend a few extra walls for your main body here because of the stress that gets put on these bits whenever you put the straps in. Assembly-wise, we're going to start with the trigger assembly. So you're going to want your main body. The file marked as released, and your file marked as release bar here. What we're going to do is we're going to take some of this nylon kite string here, unwrap a generous length, about the length of, I don't know, 2 sub sandwiches. I refuse to use any practical measuring system because it's funnier this way. So let's cut some of that there. Then we have our string. Let's just trim off the ends here, make it nice for what I'm about to do with it. There we are. And now that we have our string here, I'm going to thread it into the hole in the top of the device here. Thread it through the device into the hole that can be found right in there. For ease of viewing and everything, I'm going to use these tweezers to do it, although I've done it by hand with no tools. And then we're going to take it here and thread it through the entire device just like that. Once it's threaded through the device, we're going to take it and put the string through this hole on the front of the trigger assembly here. We're then going to double knot it, just, double knot. Nothing like too fancy. If you're assembling this, I really hope you're smart enough to tie knots. That'd be a pretty good skill to have. Just tie this, and I wish I was more dexterous and I could do this faster for all of you. There we are. So just double knot that there. Make sure it's all good and secure. And then, since this is nylon kite string, what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim off the excess here, and then I'm going to singe that there with this lighter so that the knot stays secure and sort of melts together, really. Like so. Excellent. Don't do that with normal string, it'll catch on fire and then you'll ruin everything. Once you tie the knot around your trigger here, you're just going to place that in the slot in the back of the device here. And just pull that forward. Make sure that this trigger here can slide freely in and out of the slot. If it jams or sticks a little bit, just keep sliding it until it loosens up. Or you can also gently sand on both edges here and around this bit here to make sure it slides all better. The point is, it should slide smoothly and freely through into the slot. Once that's all in place, then take your release bar file, and you're going to insert it into the device where that bigger rectangle hole is. So you're just going to take that, slot it through that rectangular hole in the release there, and now everything should slide as one unit. Just like so. Next, you're going to want to cut yourself some elastic, 3mm paracord to tie around this section here. Alternatively, you can save yourself a million years and just use a rubber band. However, if you want it to seem more elegant, my favorite solution is to tie a loop in one end of a 3mm paracord, hook it around that section there, over and around the back of your device here, and hook it around that section of the other part of the release bar. The idea is to have the release bar under gentle tension at rest here, but still be able to easily push forward just fine. This assembly works perfectly for my uses, and If you have a rubber band that works well, you might as well use it, but I like this more. Next, we are going to attach our retaining arm to our main body here. Assembly is just as easy as you can make it if you don't drop the pieces and throw them around your desk. Just put the hinge pin into the retaining arm through the main body there. And we will also need one of my pseudo rubber bands made out of a 3mm paracord, or an actual rubber band if you're not a nerd. You're going to want to thread whatever elastic you choose to use through the upper hole in the retaining arm there. You're going to want to hook both ends around this hook here and the matching hook on the other side of the main body here. Here we are. And there we are, just like that. The idea is to keep the retaining arm under gentle tension while it's at rest, but still be able to have it lift up freely. And this is why I suggest you print the hinge pin standing up. Everything moves more smoothly in this hinge if it's printed vertically. I know it takes more time, but it really does improve the quality of everything. Next, you're going to want to install the priming handle here. This will involve both priming arms. This pin here I call the priming grip, and this pin here, which I call the priming hinge pin or something. I get it mixed up, but the point is the one with the smaller diameter is the hinge pin, the bigger one's the grip. Take the one with the smaller diameter here, and make sure the supports are very well removed from this hole in the main body right here. If the supports aren't very well removed, doing this action will crack your print, and that won't be very fun. You shouldn't have to force it, but firmly tapping it in place will do the trick and it'll stay there. Make sure that there's an equal amount of pins on either end there, and that'll be our hinge for priming handles here. Now, to assemble our priming handles, we're going to want to take this grip bit here. We're going to want to insert it firmly into that hole there in the front of the arms there. You want to take the other one, put it on the other side, like so. Make sure the quote-unquote shark fins here and here are sticking out instead of in. And we're going to take this thing and we're just going to clip it onto that pin there and there, just like so. Next, we're going to add the 4mm paracord. So what you're going to want to do is cut yourself a length about 2.5 Aristocrats long. Again, I'm not using conventional measurements just because it's funnier this way. Then we're going to use our lighter here to singe the cut ends of the paracord here, just to make sure nothing frays later. This will make everything much more durable down the line. Although the paracord is fairly easy to replace, so it shouldn't be too big of a deal. Now that we have our paracord here, we're going to tie a knot, just a singular knot in one end of it, like so. And we're going to tie that up top here. Make sure it's nice and tight and that the knot won't slip whenever this thing is pulled on a lot, because the string is going to be under tension quite a long time. There we are, just like that. Next, we're going to take this end of the paracord here, take our Aristocrat, and we're going to thread it through this hole in the front here, just like so. And then we can twist the knot so that it goes back there. Now that we have it this far, we can put this arm down. We're going to take the string, hook it around that hook on the priming handle here, run it underneath the retaining arm, around this hook here, and then through this hole here. Just like so. Now we need to take all the slack out of this 4mm paracord, and that'll involve just pulling it tight, adjusting this paracord more, pulling it tight, and then putting your fingers here to stop from slipping back. And what you're looking for here is medium tension on that string there. And when that's happening, you unhook it from both hooks here and there of the retaining arm, just so you get slack back in the string. You can pull it tight, and since your fingers are still there on the string, that marks where you should tie the knot. Just like so. When that knot is tied, you can then rehook it back where it needs to go, like so. And it should be just about medium tight on there. Now, if you've tensioned and tied the string properly, you should be able to take this priming handle and pulling back on the device here, prime it just like so. And if it's too tight, pushing in on the release will be very hard to do, but it will release. And if it's too loose, pushing in on the release won't be hard, but it won't have enough force. That's actually just about perfect on my first try. If it wasn't perfect, then all you'd have to do is go back here and retie that knot, either closer to or further away from the end of the string. Just to make sure you've got the correct tension there. And once that's all tensioned, you want to take some scissors, trim off the excess here. Come on. There. And since that's a bit frayed here, we're going to take our lighter and singe it so that it's no longer frayed at all. And I'm going to twist it so that it's set up like so. Now, I've left the straps up to the user to decide what they like best to use. I use, again, these Velcro cable management cords. You may have seen the like. I got a bunch of rolls for $5 from the hardware store. Really useful things. I might go buy more later. So for each strap in my arrangement, you're going to want to take 2 of these. You feed the ends together of 2 of these like so. And sort of Velcro them together and chain them like so. Now you have a double length strap. I've made 2 of these, and they're going to be both of my straps here today. Now, my arms are fairly thin, especially around the wrist, so I might have a different strap configuration than you all, but in essence, it's about the same. For my configuration, at least, you will take the strap, feed it through the strap hole. I make sure the soft side is facing in, and you'll see why in just a second. Then you take the other end and go out through that strap hole. Make sure it's just about centered. And then I'm going to do the same with the other strap here. Thin side faces in, that bit goes through there. This bit goes through here. One out to there. Perfect. Now, for my configuration of straps, what I like to do is I like to stick my arm through here in the strap, and then take both ends of the strap here and wrap it around and use this bit and this bit as the buckle here to sort of double up in the strap, like so. And I would like to stick my arm through there and tighten that buckle around it. However, if somebody's arms are significantly more muscular, beefy, or just rounder than mine, instead what you might choose to do is take the strap, thread it soft side out through both holes here, like so. And then tighten a single loop around the strap, like so. And just stick your arm through there. Lots of extra room there for you. Again, it's really up to the user. The straps are sort of arbitrary anyway. It's not really very specific dimensions there. Just do whatever makes you feel good. Now, what you're going to want to do next is, once you've got the straps on, you're going to want to strap it to your arm. Specifically, you want to strap it as far forward as you can on your arm, without it sliding forward anymore. Otherwise, the device can't trigger properly. So what I've done here is I've taken the first strap, strapped it firmly and comfortably right in front of the ball of my wrist. Or you can also put the strap right behind the ball of your wrist here. Either or works, as long as it's firm and tight, but it doesn't cut off circulation, of course. And then the second strap is just firmly keeping everything in place, just to make sure nothing slips at all. So that thing is solid on my arm here. That's because over time, if you're triggering it a lot, you don't want this thing to slip forward on your arm at all. When that would change the distance, you have to pull the trigger, and that would just really mess everything up. Next, you're going to want to take your trigger ring. And a quick note about the trigger ring. Some people have different sized fingers, as should be evident. So this trigger ring has an internal diameter here of 20 millimeters, perfect for my spidery fingers, but probably not perfect for everybody. So feel free to scale this up or down in your slicer as needed to make sure you get the right size. But once you have your trigger ring here of the size you need, slip it on the finger you want to assign to be your trigger finger here. Make sure that little duckbill bit is facing inwards here. Then we're going to take our string here and thread it through the back of this ring here, like so. And then out the front like this. If the camera will focus on it, give me just a second. There it goes. So now that we have this here, we can pull it tight. And by tight, I mean make sure that back bar is getting tensioned a bit there whenever you wiggle your hand. For this, I recommend tilting your hand slightly up, just to make sure everything compensates properly. And then we're going to tie the knot with one hand here on the string. I do recommend using tweezers for this, just to make everything so much easier. In the act of doing that, the string went loose again, so I'm going to bring it up and tighten it like so. And if I hold on to the string here, you can see that bending my wrist down will now fire the device. Gotta make sure that it bends down the proper amount so I don't accidentally trigger the device. Tensioning the string is more of an art than a science, but if you tune it to your preferences, it should work to your preferences, believe it or not. Anyways, once that's all set the way I want, I'm going to solidify it by tying another knot. String here, pull it through, pull it tight, and we are good to go. Next, I'll just test fire it, and it all works wonderfully. Well, if you've made it this far, chances are you've either completely assembled the device or are just entertained by my antics. In any case, now that the device is assembled, I have a couple manufacturer's notes here for you. First off, while I would have loved it where every ammo type would be loaded in the exact same way into the device, that simply wasn't the case, and it did cause me a good bit of grief. To that end, here are the different ways you can load every ammo type into this device. To load half lengths or full lengths, just put it under the retaining arm so that the back of the dart aligns with this back nub here of the retaining arm, like so. With full dart, just do the same thing. Conveniently also with a full dart, the front end of the full dart aligns with the front edge of the Aristocrat here, which is quite nice. Just as a note, half darts work a lot better than these full-length waffle heads here. I think the waffle itself has something to do just dragging on the front of the device and causing these to spin and flip out. But oblique darts do work fairly well as well. The Aristocrat actually surprised me with how well it fires rival rounds here if you place them under that second nub on the retaining arm like so. They get sent out at a really surprising velocity and are actually surprisingly effective. The Aristocrat especially excels at shooting mega darts. I have this Mega AccuStrike one here, but any mega dart does just fine. If you just place it in the device like so, and as long as the edge here does not go over where the string is held in this groove here, like so, then that string will pop up and absolutely send that dart out the blaster. It's really nice to have a larger ammo type on your arm there, because usually your primary blaster is one that shoots a smaller ammo type. Alas, it can't hold Mega XLs in the blaster very well when in use and just waving it around and everything, but it'll sit there just fine at rest in most situations as long as you don't shake it around too much. Again, just like the Mega, if you place it so that it does not encroach upon where the string sits down in here, and you fire it, it should fly out pretty effectively, actually. It also surprised me. It's rather nice. That's really all I have, except for maybe a few closing remarks. This project took me a good deep chunk of time now, actually. I came up with this idea over Christmas break for my college, actually. And now we've just gone past Easter break, and I finally finished it. It went through multiple design iterations. The Aristocrat version 1 might be on my channel still. It was a rather dinky thing. I originally called that one the Aristocrat because while it was a cool idea, it was functionally worse than every other thing of its kind, just like an aristocrat in society. Now, although I call this one an Aristocrat because you can dismiss somebody with a kiss my ring gesture. It's rather fancy. I'm really pleased with how this turned out. I'm really proud of my amateur modeling skills here. And if you do make one, do let me know, because I really do want to see your thoughts on it. That's all. Please have a good day.